The Walt Disney Company and its executives have some serious explaining to do. Forbes is going after them and driving them down to the floor with an expose into their theme park data that may have the government, yes, the federal government, looking into the House of Mouse. We've got the details. Let's dive in. Hello folks, hello friends, welcome back yet again to the channel that continues to give you the news you need to know, delivered hot and on a platter of chatter each and every day. Folks, we're going to talk about Disney today, and they're not having a good one because Forbes has landed a haymaker, diving into the bad data, perhaps, that Bob Iger built, and well, let's just say it's jilted the executives at Disney. We'll dive in, click the like button, and let's find out what's going down at the House of Mouse. Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to pass. Finally, Forbes is taking to task the Walt Disney Company, and it is a big, real big deal. Caroline Reed has this one. Disney theme park claims in doubt as summer season revenue repeatedly hits year-long low. Says doubt has been cast on the accuracy of Disney's documents. Now, are these, Jonas, as we get ready to read this, are these documents of non-import? How would you describe these? What are these documents that we're now casting doubt on the accuracy of, at least Forbes is? What are these, John?
This would be the company's 10K reporting, which if you follow Bob Iger's trajectory here, the only thing he actually does is produce entertaining 10Ks for his shareholders. So I would say this is the most important product of the Walt Disney Company because it definitely isn't the entertainment.
So you're saying that these are then government documents?
Yes, they're filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is a part of the United States federal government.
Shall we continue on? I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of what we're talking about, the gravity of the situation. It says the revenue of its theme parks division hit the lowest level of the year during the summer season for the past 2 years, running despite claims in its filings that it generally increases in that period. The discovery came to light through analysis of Disney's results for the 3 months to September 27th, which were announced on Thursday last week. Disney's shares crashed 7.8% after it reported revenue of $22.5 billion for the quarter, missing analyst expectations of $22.8 billion and coming roughly comparable with the prior year period. It was driven by continued declines in Disney's linear TV, offset by strength in streaming, and theme parks, which sit inside its experiences segment. Now, this is a very in-depth article, ladies and gentlemen. You need to go read it, top to bottom. It's a lot. There's a lot here. You have to dig quite a bit. But if you love taking digs at Disney, you're going to love this article by Caroline Reed. Now, we have a summation of this over on That Park Place. It says, Disney expenses explode in new SEC filing, revealing films aren't turning to profit. That's one of the articles that we've got covering this in terms of the SEC filing stuff. But also, Jonas, we've got some coverage of this, and I'll pull that up in just a second. We've got some coverage of this trying to give a summation. Can you perhaps, Jonas, give us your thoughts as we go now to the other article, Disney faces scrutiny after SEC filings misstate summer park trends. This is by Marvin Montanaro, covers it. Jonas, what's the essence of this report by Caroline Reed of Forbes, and should Disney actually be worried about it?
So there's something on SEC filings, which is Disney has a chance to explain why something went up or down. And generally speaking, those statements are supposed to be helpful and accurate in order to frame things in a positive or negative light. Usually they take it as an opportunity to hand wave why something is good even when it's bad. So, for instance, would be the statement that, theatrical revenue in the coming quarter is going to be down because of how great it was last year with Mufasa and whatever it was else that came out in the same quarter as Mufasa. I forget what it was. But what that hides is the fact that Disney is basically admitting they're going to take a $400 million dip in that quarter year over year, despite the fact that Avatar Fire and Ash is coming out in that quarter. So, there's usually the statement, which is accurate, but it may be hiding something else. In this case, revenue is down in a certain segment, that being experiences, and they are saying that, revenue is usually higher in the summer seasons in the experiences segment. Well, the case that's being made here is that's not quite true, because for the entire time that it has been the experiences segment, summers have actually been down for the Walt Disney Company.
So let's take a look at this out of that Park Place. One, it says the SEC could step in if filings misrepresent the trends. And the claim by Forbes is, we believe that maybe that's happening. Number two, Disney filings must reflect present-day realities, not nostalgia from a prior decade, which again might be what's in the Forbes article. Folks, go read it, talking about maybe Disney's using a decades-old piece of info to pull a little fancy dance. Number three, according to the Forbes article, now being summarized on that Park Place, it perhaps misleads investors about the health and trajectory of the experiences division. I'd like to read this one in particular. It says, the idea that the Disney Experiences summer quarter is strong paints a picture of robust seasonal demand. Reality, however, looks different. Domestic parks and experiences revenue crashed 8.5% from Q3 to Q4 this year. Operating income, aka profit, collapsed 44.2% in the same period.
Right.
We didn't hear any of that in the in the earnings call. Nothing on that. Nothing in the news. No major. It's taken all the way until Forbes has really dug in there to find this stuff. Vash, what do you make of it?
Yeah, these are numbers that I actually put together for our coverage on that Park Place the day of the earnings call. You can go back to that video, and I did compare the quarter-to-quarter numbers because Disney's been doing this for years, where they compare year over year, which is, obviously appropriate for multiple reasons. As I pointed out, it's like, okay, well, you have seasonal trends, you have different travel patterns that play out, you have certain holidays that occur within quarters. So year over year is fine, but quarter to quarter is really, it's very profound when you see quarter three to quarter four in this regard, because the drop offs are just tremendous. And they've been hiding the 8 ball on this. And yeah, I mean, summers have been down at Walt Disney World for a while now, as consumer habits have changed, and as really Disney's own pricing models have shifted and so forth in order to reflect that. So providing guidance that is a decade old or even more, it's just not I mean, it is not reality right now. I mean, post-COVID has changed travel patterns to a huge degree. So even comparing anything pre-2020 or 2021 is just not appropriate either. So I'm not surprised that Disney is they might be obfuscating a little bit here, because they understand that the parks and experiences division is the division that is the revenue driver for the entire company. And we've seen huge losses in terms of stock value when they've revealed numbers that are lower than expected with the parks segment. They understand, and I think they understand that shareholders understand that that people are looking for the parks segment to just at least stay flat or above projections.
Now, the parks have largely subsidized a lot of the suck at the Walt Disney Company over the last few years, when they've said they're out of luck with movies.
Oh,
now,
yes.
one of the big findings in here is that, according to the numbers, Forbes is claiming that it's likely about, getting close to 1 million people, but 783,000 people short of the prior year going to the domestic theme parks, going to Disney World, I believe. Vash, that's the Disney World number, right?
So the domestic theme parks would be both Disneyland and Walt Disney World, mostly Walt Disney World.
So combined together, about 783,000 less people went to the theme parks, and Disney is trying to say, our movies may have sucked, but we're having a good time with the theme parks. Meanwhile, almost 1 million less people going. Now I got a feeling that they're going to have to reassess how they put out some of this stuff, especially with government filings. What do you think?
And I think for the longest time, exactly, they were relying on being able to point at the entertainment, at the experiences sector and say, well, this is doing really well, even if our movies, et cetera, and fudge the accounting in a way that way. But I think a lot of companies, and I'm just speculating, probably do some sort of fudging or changing or moving around. But because right now Disney has continued to fail, and now I think more and more people are realizing that and starting to accept it and want to make it more open, they kind of also did this to themselves with more investigations and more people looking into it, other than the ones that have been looking into it, like yourselves and a lot of other people from a long time ago. Now I think it's catching up to the normies, to call it one way, and I think it's their own fault, because they've put themselves in that situation where now more people are willing to look at the negatives and look at where they failed, not just with the movies, but now everything else, that maybe everything they're failing.
Culture, this is where Forbes goes for the mouse. This is where it's at. Let me read it to you and get your thoughts on it. It says, nevertheless, the revenue of Disney's domestic parks and experiences still fell by 8.5% quarter on quarter. So over the 3 months until September 27th, Disney's domestic parks, Disney World and Disneyland, dropped by 8.5%. And actually, I don't want to get too far in the weeds in the article. It's kind of worse than that, because the non-parks experiences stuff was doing pretty darn well, which would indicate that the domestic parks dropped harder than the 8.5%. They're rolled into other stuff, Disney's domestic parks and experiences. So if the experiences part is doing better, then the domestic parks to still drop the thing by 8.5 must be in real trouble. But it says this: you would not expect that on reading Disney's annual report. It states that the impact of seasonal factors on its experience segment generally results in increased revenues during the company's first and fourth fiscal quarters. There is no doubt that the former is generally accurate, but the latter is not, as shown in the chart below. And the claim here is, Culture, that they're painting a very rosy picture that is not factually, data-wise accurate, and that might be a problem with the government. What say you, Culture? Unmute, Culture. We can't wait to hear you.
First of all, I'm not surprised. I think that this has been an observation that's been made more than a few times, even by our friend Valiant Renegade. When you take a look at the numbers that we get, oftentimes they've been massaged a little bit here and there. I would say that these numbers are not dissimilar to previous years, where we've seen a massaging of this particular quarter's numbers, because they're always trying to portray that they're doing rather well when it comes to visitations to their parks, and the parks really are their most consistent source of revenue. I'm just going to say I'm not surprised. I'm going to say that it's interesting that Forbes is starting to call Disney out on how they're reporting these numbers, whether it be a 10Q or in any other form or format. Or how they talk about the numbers. And I think that they oftentimes highlight various segments to tell a different story than what the numbers actually as a total are actually telling us.
Culture, I'm seeing people out there claiming, after reading this article, that Disney is glad-handing bad data.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and they've been doing that for a long time. When they seem to be more focused on the total attendance numbers rather than the revenue from attendance, they're giving you a set of data that's inconsequential to what the bottom line is. And that's something that they do across the board and probably every aspect of their business. It's, when we have more attendance at water parks because we have a certain discount that comes in, but yet we have this boost in attendance for our water parks. That's the thing they want you to focus on, not the fact that it costs them additional revenue in another area. And again, that's just that's a glad handing of bad data that they've been notorious for the better part of 2 decades now.
And to visualize this and why Disney might be doing this, I want to go ahead and put this up on screen right now. This is a visual representation of all the money that is taken in by the Walt Disney Company on the right on the left of this image right here. And on the right is your profit. And very little from entertainment, very little from sports, lots from parks, and sometimes that park segment is even bigger than this. But this is just reflecting Q4. And this is why it's so imperative that they post positive numbers in the parks division, and why they had to have single digit losses and so forth. Like I think attendance went down by 1% or whatever. At least the numbers that were provided by the Walt Disney Company. This is why it's so imperative for them to post positives in this arena right here, because the experiences segment, like Pro said, is what is providing the revenue or the money for streaming. For now what they're going to be spending $24 billion in entertainment for the year. This is where it's all coming from.
To put that in comparison, folks, for those because it is a difficult chart to read at first. What we're saying here is that the parks and experiences division, 1/3 of Disney, brings in more profit than all the rest of Disney combined. If you put entertainment and sports together, they don't come close to the parks and experiences. This is a theme park company. You might argue it's a theme park and cruise ship company now. And that's why perhaps they're being so happy about some stuff that maybe now is under serious scrutiny from places like Forbes. Jonas, let me go to you to wrap this up, if you don't mind. Jonas, when we look at the government filings, is Disney in any real trouble here, or is this something that they need to clear up and they'll be okay for the next year?
I think it's interesting because it's not a misreporting of numbers. It's a misreporting of interpretation of past data.
Yes.
So it is incorrect. So it should be corrected. But at the same time, I don't know that they should restate their entire financials. I don't think it's reasonable for them to restate their financials in order to get rid of a note. I think that they should never say this again. That's for sure. So this is something that I don't know if there's a precedent for this of their own interpretation being a problem or a footnote being a problem. So they have gotten away with far worse things and not had to restate anything with the SEC. So I'll say that their recognition of certain things has been more widely debated on their revenue statements, and it's not come up as something where they've had to refile. So this is less than that, but it's still incorrect. And that is something that should never happen. I would be willing to bet that Hugh Johnston, the CFO of the company, is probably going to get wind of this and probably is never going to let this happen anymore. He's only been there for a few years, so he was probably going off of past data.
Fair to say they had a bad day when this article came out?
Yes. Well, Bob, for sure.
Good night, game over, drive home safely. Folks, this video is done. But before we all head home, we only ask one thing. Folks, as you get ready to head on out, consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below and share your thoughts, for a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Waste not that beautiful personality of yours. And folks, we would say as you get ready to head out the door, that it has been an honor to spend time with you, an attitude of gratitude each and every time that you elect to join together with us. Breaking bread and breaking entertainment, well, the industry. No, we like entertainment. It's the industry that irks us sometimes. Well, it was a good time. We hope you had a good time. Folks, until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Jump into the water!
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun.
Want it all, so I give them cannonball. Yeah!
Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio.
Arizona. Pineapple pizza, Hawaiian ice freeze, yeah. Can't wait to be up. 3 days of you and me.
What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.